we have 12 states which are present here today. Each state presented their position, the kind of challenges that they're facing and the kind of solutions that they've come out with.
Hi all of you, once again. Just very crisp, I am going to say the situation of this state. In other way, it is across also. So we are talking about the change in education policy. So this is the infrastructure as we know, like how many schools are there across India, and in that 24,000 plus CBSE and ICSE of around 2,300 and IB of 148. Leaving this, most of these schools are run by government, their own respective government. Here we are around 22.4%, that is private unaided schools. That means totally we are catering around 49.1% as from the point of students, what we are catering education. So in this private school, we have recruited around 36 lakh teachers. One important thing is we have never taken into account nursery, that which is in NEP, that is 3 to 6 years. That was not accounted fully on government portal, because that is where more than 20-25% of the students are again should be added when NEP is being on implementation level. So one thing here, I wanted to just give you an insight. 6.43 lakh crores what government is spending in its school. That means even we are spending 6.43 more than that, because our infrastructure, our other activities are entirely different. Government projected budget and our budget is quite different, because here we are spending more. The government is spending more money on salary itself. 85 to 90% salary component is being spent out of what allocated budget is. But when it comes to private unaided school, yes, we have a blame that we pay less salary. But when we consolidate the whole expenditure, it is entirely different, because we have, apart from salary, we have many components. So because salary, we are like, it is a mutual concern between the teacher and the management, whatever we are paying. So because of that, now focusing on NEP implementation, it will be around not less than 400 million students we are supposed to, because it is from 3 to 18 years. So where money comes for government is a big challenge. Same here with private unaided school also. Where should we bring money when we want to implement as per NEP? That is what the question rises. So when it comes to Karnataka, this is the teachers, students and schools. Here we have a lot of challenges, that is RTE 25%, which still another 2-3 years down the line we have to get our reimbursement. Reimbursement is a big challenge, because we are being paid only 16,000, 8,000, but how did they arrive is a big challenge, because by considering only 5 component of 50 different accounts head, they have arrived for 16,000, and directly cutting it to 50% for nursery, they are reimbursing. So this is where we have a dispute also. Apart from that, minimum infrastructure norms, minimum wage for teachers, safety security audit, maintenance of quality accountability, in that we have a rigid fees structure. rigid fee structure. Indirectly, they are trying to control the liberty of our fees fixation. I mean, it is our liberty, but that has been taken away. They are telling only with salary plus 100%, salary plus 30%, and only increase of 10 to 15% in a year. This is not going to happen in most of the good elite schools, because there the infrastructure, the facilities are entirely different. But government is trying to regulate. In the name of regulate, they are trying to fix fees. That is where we have a dispute. Apart from that, we have a ESI, PF, gratuity, professional tax, everything except service charges. We have everything with us. See, challenges per child expenditure even we will face, because we are not being liberalized to charge even 90%. One important thing I want to put you across is more than 90% of the schools in Karnataka, they charge a nominal fees of 10 to 40,000. Very 2 to 3% who are charging 1 lakh and above. 2 to 3%. But 95% of the schools have a difficulty in whatever the new things comes into force. That is where we want to look into. I'll just skip all this. Even in budget, for example, this time for National Education Policy 2021-22 budget, they have allocated some amount so that they carried the function of implementing. And one important thing what we found was 818 crores and 268 crores was allotted for various yojanas during this pandemic. But believe it, our government never allowed us to charge even a single NP on the context of online education. But same thing was allocated by central government for digitalizing and giving out online. So here again we were being deprived of our rights. We didn't, almost 2 years down the line, we couldn't forget. The gentleman was saying, never parents came forward to pay us. Almost 60% of the parents have never paid. There are 40% who have paid partially in budget school. I'm talking about budget school. Where there is a demand for schools, I mean, in certain schools, hardly few hundreds. Those schools, even next year's admission have been made. That should not be kept a benchmark to say that schools, private schools, they are collecting fees. So here we are financially burdened. So when we come out with the Kendriya Vidyalaya or Navodaya Vidyalaya, what government is spending per child, it is huge. But when it comes to state board schools, they have said 16,000, 15,000, 30,000. That is not right actually. That is why we have asked the government, please declare per child expenditure, considering all the component of your expenditure rate. There are many things, even the like CSR fund, everything is being utilized on that year. So any appropriate government has to declare that honestly, so the nation will know what exactly charging in the private budget schools and what type of quality education is being provided against the government. It is not government versus private, but we want to understand, yes, where exactly money comes, where exactly money is spent, and what is the quality outcome of that. So let me just keep all this because we have no time. Just I will focus because there is an entire country audience here. So we want to say what type of schools are there in Karnataka. Apart from that, we have problems like single teacher school when it comes to government. Infrastructure due to COVID, midday meals, safety protocols, teachers deficit. This is somewhere we are not giving a quality learning outcome because of these various problems. So when it comes to aided school, they too have a teacher deficit, infrastructure, midday meals, safety protocols. So again, learning has been stopped for almost 500 days. So when it comes to private unaided school, it is the biggest challenge. Infrastructure, transportation, parents non-cooperation, safety protocols, admission fees, arrears, withdraw. They have a beautiful 2 to 3 years learning in one school. They withdraw their TC without paying the fees. The numbers are rising year after year. Earlier it was 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 in some places. Now it is hundreds. So they never pay the fees of a availed service, and they withdraw the TC in the BO office by misusing the portals. This is one biggest problem. We have tried to dealt with this, but still it is there. Salary issue, because we are unable to pay good salary because of non-cooperation from the parents, because these 2 years we have seen very pathetic situation. RTE portal issue, government textbook, private transportation, they insist to pay sixth pay, wherein 90% of the school, I mean the population, they are from the poor, middle class, economically weaker section who are studying in budget schools, especially state board schools. When you want to give them a sixth pay, just imagine you have to collect not less than 300 to 400 times from those parents, and they are not affordable, they never come to pay, and end of the day, almost we are there for around 83% as in urban, and overall we are catering more than 50%, when where will these parents go? Government, there is no government set up schools to cater this much of big volume, and if we are not being paid properly, or we are not being supported by the government, by the education department, definitely it will be a big issue. So apart from that, forcing RR, even for nursery, when there is only a registration for nursery, there is no renewal of recognition because they don't have curriculum, there is no medium of instruction, or nothing has been there, registration. But some part of education department try to impose renewal of recognition every year. It is nothing but done, that's it. So same new schools, renewal of recognition for old existing 40-50 years. Yes, as you said, there should be some after certain orders, but this is not happening. We have a 10 years limitation now as per amendment, but they are giving only one year because of it is because you are not doing away with safety audits like fire safety, PWD, and this is humanly not possible. Fire safety, Supreme Court has said only one thing: have cylinders in your schools within 6 months, but they have modified it. For new schools, whatever the regulations are there, same thing is being applied on old existing school for who are going for renewal of recognition, and it is pathetic. Each school has to shell out not less than 10 to 40 lakhs for getting NOC for fire. PWD, it goes into several lakhs, but end of the day you can't get the honest certificate because there is a dispute, akrama sakrama. Until that is settled, nobody can give or nobody can get these certificates. This is biggest problem. Teacher deficit, even we private schools are facing teacher deficit. We don't have qualified teachers, especially in math, science and English. It's really difficult situation. So private unaided school, even we have a problem from parent association, RTA activist, RTI activist, child right commission, everybody intervenes with us. So we have even with media blowouts, like it is something we can't even imagine. So per child expenditure, free promotion, mass pass, mass admission, all this has again made us mess even in the portal, where we have to cleanse now. And BBMP tax. Bangalore, we had an exemption, now they have made 100% tax. That means some schools have to shell out crores of rupees. But only one thing I would finally say, all this you are coming with rules, regulation, to take that required money, our regulation ED 31 doesn't give any provision to collect from the parents. Then where money comes from? Government is not giving. We are not being provision to get from the regulation part, and parents, they are not affordable. End of the day, only in the name of safety, security and all vagara vagara, you are being insisted to do all this by force. So here we are facing much difficulties. So these are, so we want SSSA, so that our only intention is make a separate neutral body where we can be heard. Our problems can be heard. We can represent, we can say our things so that the government, the SSSA understands and regulate equally, giving justice to wherever implication is possible. In such manner, the rules and regulation can be framed. Here what is happening, though we have the government officials, the education department understands our difficulties, they don't want to implement it in true spirit, because all higher officers are being driven by the lower case workers who never understand what is there individually, what is there on the piece of paper, what we give request. They just draft, they just get the signature done by the higher officers and putting us into stake. This is what is happening at government level. So we want, see, it is very clear outcome. It must not overlay, restrict schools for giving out quality education, but the real intention of NEP 20 is been defeated here. If you don't go with these intentions, definitely we will have troubles in future. So end of the day, this is how the department is functioning at present. Too much, there is very much difference between the regulation. The same rules and regulation of safety audit is not put. We have a beautiful records on that. I would like to see, this was only a Supreme Court's verdict. There was only 5 important direction made by the Supreme Court, but it was the other observations were being interpreted, and they are trying to enforce the national building code, I mean the law, that is being enforced now for old schools, which is not at all possible. So apart from this, even Supreme Court could not arrive to solve this problem when we intervened by NISA impleading there in the Supreme Court. They just said it is a big problem, let the MHRD look into it. But MHRD, again, they took a suggestion from NCPCR. The NCPCR gave a beautiful, that is CBSE and NCPCR. So that same thing has been now law of the land, again insisting us to follow all the norms which new schools are being provisioned. Same thing should be done away with old existing school, which is not possible. So here the dispute is still. So this is our new, after 2018, we were being given one amendment and act and rules, so that what should have, I mean new schools, when you want to establish a new school, what should you have? So that thing is completely, even you have increased fixed deposit, you have enhanced processing fees, apart from regular fees, all these things are there. But same thing is being carried, even though there is a very clear mentioning in this thing, those land requirement, those fixed deposit is not applicable for the schools which have commenced on or before 2018. Though in amendment it is there, they are trying to impose by forcefully that this much of land is required for when we go to renewal. Land conversion is required when you go for renewal. It is really, wherever you have agriculture land, wherever you have a revenue land, you can't get that conversion done now, which the schools were established 20, 30 years back. That is the biggest problem we are facing. So all this, this is why even when it comes to recognition, one school was given 3 recognition. That means 1 to 5th one, 6th to 8th one, 9th and 10th one. So now we came out with the concept amalgamation, making that 3 different permission to 1, and because we want to run every year for renewal of recognition. Now it is 1 dice number, so 1 renewal of recognition. This is what is now in place. So all these problems, these are the various things. The main thing is after COVID, again renewal of recognition by paying processing fees. So it is now in online. So now we have to provide all this PWD stability certificate, wherein it has 15 different certificates to be submitted to get this by paying fees, and fire safety, land conversion, fixed deposit, minimum strength, whatever the strength we have. Because government is not paying any money. You have a less, there are schools which have 10 children per teacher and they run. That is not the botheration of government. Government has to see that whether the children are getting quality education. They are not. If you have lesser than 25, they don't give a permission or they cancel the affiliation. All this threat, it is not acceptable. So property tax, again inspection. After all this, again 3-man committee is formed, inspection is done. Simply they trouble in the name of inspection. Finally, without this, nothing is happening. So end of the day, though you have all the document, without this, nothing is going to happen. So this is where we are. CBSE school, only this was mentioned in their regulations. But for our schools, complete new set of fire safety, all those things. We are state budget schools, especially state board, which are high in volume. So end of the day, there are many challenges. Let me not go with that. Only our concern is stakeholders are not consulted. They are from the same field. They are not taking their opinions. They are not considering the existing law. Even when it comes to medium of instruction, we have said the government, please don't overlook 11 bench judgment in the medium of instruction case. So finally, TMA Pi versus Government of Karnataka, we have a dispute with Education Act. Par with TMA Pi things, we have given our suggestions. Considering that our Education Act has to be revised. That has not been yet because it is still in the division bench. Though Supreme Court directed division bench to look back and see that it has been fixed. They have not fixed so far almost 12 years. So all these things we want government to look and give a natural justice considering our issues. So this is where finally just I want to say, save our school, that is budget school of this country. Thank you.
Shashi sir, one more thing. What are the learnings? What is it that we can do since all these states have come together? What is it that we can probably learn from each other? Can it become a symbiotic kind of relationship?
Yes, the most important aspects, and from morning what we are deliberating, we could know and understand at large only about the situation and where we should intervene, what type of intervention is required. But when the government or when the implementing chair assured, and he also focused on, yes, there should be a equal partnership in trying to understand. It should not be only at understanding level. It should be within the structure, giving representation. We are not asking the ownership, but by and large we are asking our grievance to be heard in a proper platform. We going and saying our grievance in the office of the executive, because rightly said Mr. Vishal, who was the commissioner, he said, I am helpless, because yes, he is a helpless. I always say in our local slang, the officials, government, for example, the minister takes the decision if he is fit enough. He says what should be the policy or the rules or the regulations. That is been executed by official orders from the government education department. That executed order is being carried out functionality by only the commissionerate or DEOs or whatever it is. But what is happening is day in, day out, we all go and talk only to these people who doesn't have any powers to change that. Only one changes can be brought is intervene directly to the government, make government understand, or make the country, people understand what exactly is happening wrong. See, we have failed in these two aspects. Most of the states, what I have understood, most of the state, we go and ask the secretariat. Who is secretariat? Secretariat is being dictated by the elected body. The policy maker is the elected either education minister or the chief minister or whatever. But it is not the government. Government takes the decision based on that body. So we have to first tap there, make them understand, request them by our proper representation. But the official, if we want to legally also challenge in future, we have to simultaneously request the government, that is secretariat level, as well as convince the ministry level. If he is not convinced, represent a secretariat, and then you can challenge legally if they are not giving, because there is a policy which has clearly recommended. Again, from morning what we understood is, it is a policy, but every state has its own making out that policy to in action. So during that, how do we convince rather than only demand? So if finally if they are not convinced to hear our grievance, understand our grievance, then there is a way. Definitely we are child centric, no doubt. But we have to have a free autonomous to have our quality upheld. Otherwise, there will be very much disaster, like the back people who are raising their issues, all pertaining to day-to-day issues. Every day their officials are harassing them like anything, bribe at its best. So we want to get rid of those things so that we can give a quality education. That is the core intention. So finally what we want is, not only we, I feel all state associations at national level, let us see that we will carry national level, we will carry the message across the country to the people. To the people. Respective state-wise, let us see that their state people are given awareness, the system is given awareness. Third most important is, we simultaneously represent first legally. That we are supposed to be given this opportunity. If not, we are not heard. If they don't do, then national body and all of us will sit and think what can be the next roadmap in trying to get this SSSA, the real intention of NEP 2020 chapter 8, it should not be defeated, it should be upheld. So in that context, I think this complete day-long symposium has added some information. It was informative, and there was also a consensus with the government, and even there is assurance in our state that other legislature, like chairman of the council, they have assured us that we will carry this message to the chief minister. That is the wonderful outcome of this entire symposium, I would like to say, and we are happy for that. Thank you.